don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman, because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, 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 hello. Sorry for being a little bit late this evening. I was in a good mood, and then all of a sudden, I'm not in a good mood because of all of the technological differences we were having. My computer has been letting me know for the last couple of days that I needed to do an update, and I always push it off because every time I do the update to the computer, it's always a problem for like the next several days afterwards. So it's like something I've grown to absolutely detest. And so for the last couple of weeks, I've been pushing this thing off. Last night after the show got done, I was like, hey, I'm done with my work pretty early. I'm going to be able to just log off the computer. I've got my laptop here, and I'll be able to just go ahead and do the update. And I did it. I did it late last night. Matter of fact, I did it so early in the evening that it went through the process, and I was able to even turn it back on, fire it up. I was able to use it this morning. Then I get back home this evening to do some stuff with it, and it was all in the shitter. So I apologize that we're a little late. I'm sorry. I'm going to make this next little house cleaning bit of information, and I promise I do not mean it shitty. It's going to come out as shitty, and it's just because I'm all fired up, but I'm not mad at any specific person, and I know that the people who reached out to me are all, because of who they are, they're all going to think I'm talking directly to them. And I want you to know that I am not talking about any specific person. The show is Sunday through Monday, every week, Sunday through Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern-ish, meaning sometimes there are technical glitches that I can't get around. Sometimes there are information that come in right at the last moment, and I'm taking information. Sometimes the 9 p.m. start time might be bumped by a few minutes here or there. Sometimes I'm just running on Bilbrey time, but I will tell you, I don't like starting late because I know that people are waiting for it. I promise you all this. If we are not going to have a show, I will publish something that says no show tonight. And we will do that. I will try to always do that by 8 or 8:30 so people will know and have a long enough time to see. If you don't see something that says no show, we're having a show. We are having a show. And the reason I say this is because what happens is when it starts ticking down and I know that we're going to be late, I start going into like stress mode and things start screwing up. And then I start getting more pissed and then I'm getting irate. And then on top of that, I get like 35 people texting me. Like my phone for a minute was just going bing, 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 bing. Are we having a show? Are we having a show? Are we having a show? And I get it and I love it and I'm not mad. Like if it was any of you, I love it. The fact that it's a bunch of you drives me nuts. Like sometimes when I'm like that, I shut my phone, but I don't want to not get back with you because I want to let you know we are having a show. So I'm not being shitty. It sounds shitty and I know it sounds shitty and I'm not trying to be an asshole, but I just want you to know for your knowledge, I promise you, if we are not having a show, I will put that up, or if something happens and it's just like I'm sick or whatever, I'll let Kate know and she can put something up. But if you get on and we do not have something up, we might be late, but we will have a show. I promise you, always. Okay, now I feel better. That was my little pissy. That was my, hold on. I figured that Kate would have put this up on the screen, but she didn't. So I apologize. That was my little shitty rant for a moment. Welcome. How are you all doing? I hope you're all doing well. Okay, I can breathe now. there it is. Welcome to the show. You know, in the radio and podcast world, they say you cannot be negative in the first 3 minutes or you will turn your listeners off. I feel like most of you know that I'm an asshole regularly, and I start out negative a lot. So I think you've grown accustomed to it. Welcome. Hey, we have today's kind of an interesting show lined up. I'll be honest. This is always a really weird time of year for specifically what we do, because it seems like even the governments that work, they really just go into like molasses mode where they're not doing anything. You don't get a whole lot of information happening, and there's not a whole lot going on. Hell, Madison County Council takes the whole month off. And you know, the Delaware County Redevelopment Commission, they mate. I know, Stumblefoot. Absolutely. Yeah. The Redevelopment Commission meeting, they met last Thursday. And what are we doing here? What are we talking about? Brenda Greider. Hey, I'm going to be talking about Newcastle. I started to call you today, and you know what I did? I took a nap instead, and when I woke up, I completely forgot. I need to talk to you tomorrow. I need to call you. Also, if you are the person, I don't want to say your name, and I won't out you. I said this last night. If you're the person, right? If you're the person that I was talking about last night, texting me about the homeless situation, and then you text me while we were on the show, I appreciate it. And I told you to call me, and then you called me today while I was dealing with my grandparents, and I said, hey, I'll have to call you back. I had a couple of you that called me then, and I was dealing with my grandparents, so I couldn't answer the phone at the moment. I will get back to you. I'll try to call you tomorrow, hopefully mid-morning, and go from there. And so I was chewing on a toothpick earlier, and I need a toothpick for the toothpick. I was chewing on a toothpick when I get nervous, I chew on things. My dad did that too. I have a whole bunch of pictures of my dad chewing on straws. Anytime my dad would go to lunch and get a drink and have a straw, then he would chew on that straw for the rest. It's like nervous energy. I don't like gum really. Any gum I chew really, really, really fast, and then I swallow it. And so I chew on things, and so I have these cinnamon toothpicks that I chew on. But when sometimes I do it, then I get these little wooden splinters in my teeth, and then so I need to invent a toothpick for the toothpick. I hate that when that happens. Anyways, I have a list of people that I need to get back with. I will get back to all of you. I completely have a. It's been I was completely out of whack today. I just kind of I sent out some emails that I needed to do. I was dealing with my grandparents, and I kind of took the day off. So no big deal. It is what it is. It's just I'm kind of in a funk because the local government things are slowing down. I'm kind of getting pissy because I've not got some of the things I should have got by now. I did send an email out to Mayor Dan today and to his communications director. I did call. Yeah, that would be good. Kid Rock. Silicone chew picks. That'd be interesting. I see that. Niles, that's hilarious. That's funny. I also made contact with the Indiana State Board of Accounts today. I said last night that I was going to call the State Board of Accounts to find out if it was legal, if they were going about it the right way, when Dan would be taking money from Edit and paying for. We know that he can pay the salaries of the individuals out of Edit, but there was some question on whether or not he could pay their benefits from Edit. And the State Board of Accounts said that he absolutely can do that. It just has to be appropriated in the Edit fund. So we'll have to maintain that. So I'll keep you posted. Yeah, yes, Jackie. I matter of fact, I do both. I do well, no, I guess I didn't see what you said. I do floss. I use floss frequently. But I also use the water jet flosser too, which is heavenly. I love that thing. I don't use toothpicks for getting stuff out of my teeth. I use toothpicks solely for as a kind of like a tick, as a anxiety tool to chew. That is exactly right too, Alva. I completely understand that. There's a lot of people that do that. That's hilarious. Now I will tell you, because Kate generally, she must have been tied up or busy, because Kate normally what she'll do, and she might have done it. I didn't actually look. The rest of you were doing it for her. Oh, nope, she did. She did. At what time did you say my name? At 9:02?
9:02.
I didn't even see that. That's hilarious. Okay, so she did. I was like, well, Kate just knew I was going to do it, but so yeah, you all got me. Okay, that's funny. No, I love it. It's okay. Hey, that's what it's all about. Since you guys bugged me and we're doing all of that, for the ones that were here that were messaging me, for the love of God, please at least hit the like button. You know, I didn't mention any of that. I wasn't going to do all of that after I launched into a bitch session at first, but hit the like, subscribe, comment, share the show. You know what to do. We've all been YouTubing and social mediaing and all of this long enough that, like, I feel like people really shouldn't have to say that. From now on, we'll just know when Kate puts that thing up there. Where's it at? It's over here. It's over this shoulder. When she puts it right here. Yeah. You wanted him. Now he's here. Can you hit the like button so he'll quit whining? That is good. That's what we need to say. That's funny. So I don't have a lot to talk about really with local government. Not much with state government. Braun keeps putting out his naming his people very much like Trump is doing. He's going through and naming his cabinet, his administration, and every time he does that, he puts out a press release. As soon as he puts it out, what we're doing kind of as a great team. Kate is keeping a monitor on every time Trump puts something out. She sends me the stuff so I can put it up on X and wherever else. And I'm monitoring what Braun is doing. And anytime Braun releases something, then I put it up on X or wherever else. So we're doing that. And the main reason that I'm monitoring Braun is I'm just waiting to see if Bookout gets a spot in the administration or not. So time will tell. Also, speaking of Bookout, if I didn't send, I was started to say the story, but I don't know if I finished it. The Delaware County Redevelopment Commission met on Thursday, and their video just went up today. And that meeting was only 6 minutes. They're like trying to give the Board of Works a run for their money because they only had like a 6-minute meeting. And I'm like, dude, that's normally, I mean, I don't know that they've ever had a meeting that's been that short. That's crazy. But it's because we're in December and that's what happens. And so yada, yada, yada. Well, good thing that the national news is obviously keeping us busy. There's so much crap to talk about nationally. Obviously that's what all the other shows are about. Everybody else is just covering something. We could, there's so much to cover. Specifically, I'm specifically interested in a couple of the big national stories that are currently going on, and there's political ramifications to both. One being the subway chokehold case was resolved today, and that's of course New York versus Danielle Penn. See, I hate people with the name. That's what the reason. I don't know. I call men Dan and women Danny because the longer name of Daniel and Danielle sounds the same to me, and I always say them the same. So the man, Daniel, that's hard to say, Daniel Penny, he was found not guilty today. And so we're going to be talking about that. And then, of course, the big news. They made an announcement that they have arrested or taken into custody, which is the same thing as an arrested, a very strong person of interest in the United Healthcare assassination. They've taken him into custody, and there's a lot to talk about with those. So we're going to be talking about that. I'm also going to talk about the Anderson City Police Department. The Anderson City Police and Fire Public Safety Board met today at 4 p.m. like we knew they would. And they had an executive session where they met without the media and without citizens, as they are allowed to do, because it was a meeting where they were going to be talking about employment. And they had two different employment situations to talk about. One, they were talking about the hiring of some probationary firemen. And then they were also talking about the possible termination of course, Officer Joshua. What do we say his name was? Sinesy or something like that. Whatever his name, the Chomo. So they needed to talk about that, and then they held a pretty quick regular meeting directly following that. So we're going to talk about that. And then also, I want to briefly talk about, and we're going to show video of a clip of a meeting in Newcastle where it looks as if the mayor is going kind of round and round with the council, and there's a standoff between the mayor and the council over an ordinance dealing with employee insurance. And I thought that the mayor made a very strange statement, and then the council they acted based off that statement, and I thought they acted kind of strange. So we're going to talk about that. I will be honest, I don't have much information. Number one, there's a number of people I want to call. One of these people is obviously I want to call Brenda and pick her brain, get her understanding, see if she knows what's going on here, because I'm interested in what the citizens of Newcastle's take is on this. So that's what the show is going to be about. I also want to let everybody know I have had some people ask me about Sproles, what's going on with Sproles, Sproles being quiet, has he gone away, what's going on, you're not talking about him anymore. Look, Sproles, for the most part, I think has been kind of laying low, which, is sucky for the show, if for the people that like hearing crazy stuff about him, but it's technically good for the county because it means he's, at least not doing anything stupid at this point that we've heard of. Now, he might very well be doing stupid stuff, and we might find out about it at a later date and talk about things that he's doing now that we just don't know about, but at least he's not doing something that's getting to us right now. Is this another Sproles repercussion? No, I don't believe that what's going on in Newcastle is really, no, it is not. I don't believe that. I don't believe it has anything to do with it. There is some weirdness going on in Newcastle, and it's been going on for a while, and I think it's just kind of starting to hit the fan here. And it's going to be interesting to see where people fall on this, because people who have been longtime supporters of the mayor seem to be kind of coming out against him and on different things. And so I need to contact my sources down there and talk to them on all sides of this and find out. I just happened to see this really quick, short video today, and I'll be honest, it pissed me off hearing what the mayor said, and I thought, man, I need to smack that council around and let them know they don't have to take that from him. So we'll talk about it. I don't know. We'll see what goes on, and I might be on the wrong side of it right now. I need to talk to my people, but I just want to touch on that, let you guys see that, and whatever. So first up, we'll go ahead and get the Anderson Police Department procedure stuff out of the way, because it wasn't like a really big thing. It was just pretty much a wham bam, thank you ma'am thing. Officer Joshua Sinesy was not there. I did not expect him to be there. I did not think that he would be there. And I don't, to me, that doesn't mean anything. Most people in this situation would not attend this. If he had intentions of fighting any ruling that they might make, he would probably send his legal representation. and they may or may not speak, or they might just be there to gain information. But if he has no intentions of fighting the what happens, then they probably would just pass it. So several hours ago, I posted, I learned about this right after it happened. I watched it live, thanks to Cheryl McKinney's video. Now, it's very quiet. I'm not even going to attempt playing it because none of you will be able to hear it. If any of you are interested in listening to the meeting, you're going to have to go to Cheryl's page or one of the Madison County pages where people started sharing it and listen to it. Because if I attempted to play it, none of you would hear it. None of you would hear it. So essentially what happened was they had their executive meeting. Then they started their public meeting, and first up was the fire department. They hired 3 or 4 probationary firemen. And then after that concluded, then the police chief stepped up to the podium. And just a little after 4 p.m. today, probably 4:12, 4:15, Anderson City Police Chief Michael Lee stepped up to the podium, and he recommended that the 3-person board terminate or vote for termination of Officer Jonathan. I keep saying, I want to say Jonathan, Joshua Sinesy. And the board did in fact vote in a vote of 3-0. So they all voted to recommend termination. Now, on my Rebecca didn't go. On my picture, I posted terminated because this guy's as good as gone. Now, he is, I guess, technically not terminated currently. Because what happens from here is the police chief recommended that the board vote for termination. The board voted 3-0 to terminate. No talking about it. No questions. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. They all 3 voted just quickly. It was done, over and done with, and they voted to move forward with termination. What will happen from here is they will then push the they will push this notice out, and they will formally give him notice that they are moving forward with termination. He will then be told that he can show up or have his counsel show up for him and speak or present something that he would want to be presented at the next meeting, which will be held at 4 p.m. on Monday, the 23rd. So it will be exactly 2 weeks from today. They will have their second meeting. And it's at that meeting that they will vote for the final time, and they will terminate him there. Now, they will vote and they will terminate him. He will be terminated there. There is no question. There's no doubt. Doesn't matter if the guy shows up, doesn't show up, has an attorney show up. He's done. He's over. Yes, from my understanding in this, he will no longer at this point be eligible to draw his retirement. And so, yeah, this will affect that. Listen, it sucks, as it should. You know, this is different than the officer being out in the real world, making a call, taking a step, of use of force, and the use of force getting him fired, where that could be subjective. And it being like, some people be like, yay, he's fired. And some people can be like, oh, that sucks. This is not that. I don't know, or I don't believe. Matter of fact, I'll say it like this. I certainly don't think that there could be anybody that would defend him or his actions. If they care to defend him and or his actions, I would love for one of those people to call me up and be willing to come on the program and talk to me. I would love to hear it. Now, there are going to be people who's going to be like, well, he was a nice guy. He did all of this. Blah, 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 blah. Great. He is a nice guy. I don't know. I don't know now that they have voted. I don't know now that they have voted for this. I think he's screwed. I think what he would have needed to do, I'm pretty sure that if he wanted to try to do that, he would have needed to do that before the vote today. But definitely if he is found guilty of a felony, that can be, but I don't know. I'm going to have to. No. Who's saying that? Yeah, no, he's not been found guilty. No, right. I don't know who's saying that. This is not criminal. This is just them firing him. But I'm saying since the board has taken the action, I think what he would have. I don't think he's going to fight it. I think if he would have intended to fight it, he would have needed to do one of two things. He would have needed to retire or attempt to start the process prior to today's meeting, or he would have shown up at today's meeting. Now, by all rights, he can show up. He can show up to the next meeting on the 23rd, and he can speak his case why he should not be terminated. And so that's the thing. Yeah, right. And I get it. That's what we talked about the other day. There are people saying, oh, this is just text messages. Now, I would love for those people to call me up and I can tell them, I can just say, oh, so you're a chomo lover. You're defending pedophiles. That's nonsense. You can like the guy, be friends with the guy. You can have him at your house, have him babysit your children, do whatever you want. No normal human being is going to do that. This guy is sick. He is, it's scary. Here's the thing that I'm thinking. What's killing me is this is just now what has come out. My question is, what has he not been accused of? What has he done that he's not been caught doing? You know what I mean? And that's what scares me. And if people say, well, wait a minute, maybe this, look, he brought this speculation to his door. If he didn't want people to speculate about him being a pedophile, then he needed to not do pedo actions. I don't know. You know what I mean? Yeah. All we saw was, like Kate's saying, he was grooming the boys. Where would it have led if it hasn't already? Grooming to me, that's a step in furtherance of the crime. Let's ask the detective about that. He's taking steps in furtherance of the crime. Let's ask the good detective what his thoughts are on that. because I could give him plenty of mine. So that's what happened today. They voted. It is not done yet. It will be done, at least from the side of whether or not he'll have a badge and a gun and arrest powers. Or, I mean, he's on paid leave, technically. And the paid leave will be on through until the 23rd. So then after that, from that point forward, then it will be up to a criminal court. So that's where we are with that. There is video out there. You can go and you can listen to it. It's hard to hear. It's not Cheryl's fault. It's just how those damn rooms are designed. And somebody said, I think Cheryl said, well, they weren't speaking into the microphones. A lot of times what people don't know, Madison County, it's not this way. Madison County, it actually does project the sound out into the room. A lot of these places, the microphone is not designed to actually amplify the voice. It's a microphone simply to record it. So, you know, that's what sucks. Yeah. Is he working for the Lycans? If not, maybe he soon will be. Are they going to give him a truck and give him a place to lay his head? You know, time will tell. Okay. From there, before we get into the other big, the main big parts of the show, it's all part of the show. We're all here. It is what it is. Before we get into that, I do want to show you guys this Newcastle thing. Do this real quick, local stuff now, and then we'll move on to the national stuff. Tweety Bird, are you here, or did we piss you off the other night and run you off? I hope you're still here. You've been quiet. If whatever's going on, you're okay. Now, from the last meeting where I told you it was really quiet and hard to hear, unfortunately, this is loud. And I'm going to try to turn the volume down a little bit, but there's not a whole, I don't have a whole lot of control over this. Oh, hey, Tweety Bird. I'm glad you're here. Well, good. Okay, I hadn't seen you in a couple days. I'm glad you're here. Just checking in, make sure everybody's good. Okay, so this is coming from I think GW's still here, or was at the beginning. I don't know if GW's still here or not. There's a couple people. I'm just checking in. You know who we don't see anymore, really? I think he watches later, and I don't think he watches everything, but I think he dabbles, is Joey. I miss Joey. I think we ran Joey off. We don't think we ran him off. I think life just got in the way. I think he got busy, which I completely understand. Okay, so this is coming from the Newcastle City Council meeting, and this meeting was, hey, GW's here too. Well, good. I love all the people that's here. That's like 2 for 2. I'll say another. Well, I guess I knew Joey wouldn't be here. I'll say another name and see if it just shows up. There's nothing wrong with just listening. It's nothing wrong with that. All right. So this is the Newcastle City Council meeting. Now, I do want to let you guys know Newcastle is different. Newcastle. Lenny pops in. I talk to Lenny quite a bit in Messenger. But he pops in and out and does different things. So Lenny's on a weird time schedule because he lives in the UK, obviously. So Newcastle is a third-class city, like Winchester. Winchester has 5 council members. They have District 1, District 2, District 3, District 4, and then they have 1 at-large member. Newcastle is the same government technically as Newcastle is, but Newcastle and Winchester are the same third-class city status, but Newcastle actually has 7 councilors. So that means they have District 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then they have 2 at large. So like City of Muncie that has 9 councilors, Muncie as a second-class city could have 7 to 9 councilors. And the city of Newcastle, as the city of Winchester, can have 5 to 7 councilors. And so Winchester chose to have 5, and Newcastle chose to have 7. It's not that big a deal, but it is what it is. So I want to show you here now this Newcastle meeting, and I'll tell you, and it's so strange. And I know what this is. I know that this is going to, when I say this to Brenda's going to be like, what in the world? But I want everybody to look at this. Okay. No, this is not going to matter anything else except to Brenda, because Brenda obviously worked. She was a city clerk and she's been through these meetings, whatever. Have I ever told you before, Brenda, that when I first walked into this building, the very first time, my mind was blown because I've watched these meetings forever, and I've always thought that Greg's back was against the southern wall. When I walked into this room and found out that Greg's back is against the northern wall, I was like, nah, that can't be. It was like a Mandela effect. I'm like, no, this can't. You guys have, I was like, did they just move this? And they're like, no, it's always been like this. When I found out that this is not set up, and I don't know why this is, because just somebody watching this, like for Alva or for Kate watching. No, it's not. Wait a minute. Maybe I'm saying it the wrong way. Okay, let me ask you this, Brenda. So when you're coming in off the street, this is really weird. When you're coming in off the street, you go up those stairs and you walk into this room. When you walk into it, is he set up to the left or to the right? Right is north, left is south. Yeah. So are you telling me that when you leave his office is set up to the left? So you're telling me that when you leave his office, if you're in the mayor's office and you leave like you're leaving the building, then he's set up to the right? See, this is so weird. This, I'm telling you, whatever the deal is, when I first walked into this room, I was like, this is not, it was such a, it was so weird. I was so disoriented. I guess I'm still disoriented because I'm confused now, but I was confused actually standing in the room. I was confused. Maybe I said that wrong because I now know where it is. I guess I thought that he was set up to the north. And when I found out he was set up to the south, that's what threw me off. I think that's what it is. when I first looked at this, for whatever reason, I thought that in that building, he was to the north. And when I found out that it was the other, that's what it is. When I found out that he was to the south, I was like, what in the hell? I mean, this matters to absolutely nothing. But it was just so strange. Well, and that's what I kind of thought was like, wait a minute, maybe it's because it like does that reverse mirroring thing, but it was just so strange. I don't know. And this matters nothing, but it was just so disorienting when I actually walked in there. Okay, so this is from a meeting that occurred, I would assume last Monday, the first Monday of the month. And I'm going to let this cycle through twice because it's real quick. And I want you to listen to what he says. The mayor is this guy right here. And then the council people are here. And then there are some council people here on this side that you can't really see.
I will tell you that I will do that immediately because that should be a different ordinance number. It is not what was brought up the first or the second time. We've had that ordinance, 3941. Chase Coger and Tony Young from the police department and fire department went to Joel and reworded that exactly how they wanted it. So this just makes no sense to me.
All right, I'm gonna rewind it and I'm gonna play it from the beginning so you guys
can vote on that as many times as you want to. I will tell you that I will veto that immediately because that should.
All right, so what he just said there was you can vote on that as many times as you want to. I can tell you that if you do, I'm going to veto it immediately.
Be a different ordinance number.
And then he says because it should be a different ordinance number. Okay.
It is not what was brought up the first or the second time.
He says it's not what was brought up the first or second time, which, look, I rightfully so, I'm going to tell you, admittedly so, I do not have the complete I have a very bare minimum understanding of what's going on here. That's why I'm going to do some more work, but the work doesn't have anything to do with what I'm getting ready to tell you here in a minute. So I'm going to find out which way I fall on this, if I am agreeing with the council or if I'm agreeing with the mayor. That being said, I don't agree with what the mayor did here, and I don't like how the council reacted, and I'm going to tell you why here in a second.
We've had that ordinance, 3941. Chase Coger and Tony Young from the police department and fire department went to Joel and reworded that exactly how they wanted it. So this just makes no sense to me.
Okay. So I'm just going to say that this was weird when I heard him say this. And then what happened was apparently it died for lack of a second. So one of the counselors made a motion and it died for lack of a second. And it didn't vote. Now, some people are saying that's because the mayor said what he said. I don't know where I fall on it. I will tell you this. If I were a city councilor and I was in support of this ordinance, I would have said, all right, let's vote on it. And if we vote and if it passes, so when you have a 7-person council, if it passes on a 7-person council with a split vote, that would be 4-3. So you'd have a passing vote of 4 and a no vote of 3. Or if it passes with 5-2 or 6-1 or 7 all, he can veto it all he wants. But if they have a 2/3 vote, which would be 5-2, 6-1, or 7 all, then his veto means exactly diddly shit. They could pass the ordinance. He could veto the ordinance. And then all they've got to do is call it back and vote on it again and pass it with a 2/3 vote. And they strip that veto right away. And they make that an ordinance. Now, I am not a fan of the mayor. I don't like the mayor trying to, in any city, trying to do the job of the council, trying to push something through or whatever. I'm not a fan of that. Now, I'm absolutely straight up here telling you, tomorrow when I talk to you, I might be like, well, I'm glad the mayor was fighting this ordinance, but I don't like the way he did it. Because if I end up being on the mayor's side, my viewpoint would be, well, I wouldn't want to threaten the council of that, because they might just say, well, okay, veto it, because we'll go ahead and vote it in with a 2/3 vote. I don't know how I'm falling on this. I just don't like the way that Greg went about that. I don't like that it looks as if he's threatening the council. And I sure as hell hope, specifically if it comes out that I'm on the side of the council, I sure as hell hope that the council knows that if he vetoes it, that they could undo that veto, or they could override that veto. I certainly hope that they didn't vote on something because they were fearful that he would veto it and then not do something because they just didn't know. And listen, I don't know. I don't know what they know or what they don't know. I know that there have been other elected officials in other communities that haven't known that they had the power or the ability to override that. And so I just, I'm going to make some phone calls. I'm going to reach out to some people. I'm going to talk to some sources and find out where we stand on everything and find out who's in the right and who's in the wrong. But no matter who's in the right, who's in the wrong in this case, I don't like the wording that was used in that video. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Okay. And that, ladies and gentlemen, oh, look, hell, I didn't even, I could have done this. I could have put up this, I could have put up this Anderson Police Fire and Public Safety Board and this Newcastle mayor versus the city council. I completely forgot all about that shit. All right. So moving on from there, we will go in. I will use the things for this. Moving into the subway chokehold case resolved. Were there any of you people that were following this? And if so, I'm interested. I'm interested, I guess, to see what your thoughts were. If you're aware of what the results of the jury finding today was, people know, but even before that, were you? It's replacing ordinance. See, and that's I'm gonna have to find out. I'm gonna have to find out about that, because I don't know any of those things. Did he hint more work needed, or was the number written under changed? That's what I don't know, Karen. I'm gonna have to find out all what the deal is, what they're trying to replace, what it was. I'm admittedly saying I don't know anything about that. I'm just getting ready to start looking into that. So I'll have more on that tomorrow. We'll find that out. But okay, so the subway chokehold case. This was the situation where Daniel Penny, Penny, was on the subway, and Jordan Neely, who was on the subway causing some trouble, was, I guess, bothering and harassing and starting to get agitated with people. And Daniel Penny intervened and put him into a chokehold for a 6-minute period until they pulled into the station and authorities interacted. And then at that time, When the authorities got involved, they realized that Mr. Neely was unconscious, and then he died. And so this has been a big political situation in New York. Obviously, we're not talking about Muncie because we're talking about a subway. So Daniel Penny is a U.S. Marine who is apparently is a former Marine. I know they don't like saying former, but he's not currently an active duty Marine. That's what I'm trying to get at. And he used this chokehold while on a New York subway in May of 2023. And he was charged with a couple different counts. And the jury has had this for a number of days. And the jury just went to the judge and said, we're locked. We're not going to be able to come up with this. And basically what they did was they decided to go ahead, and basically what happened is the judge already dismissed the more serious charge of manslaughter in the second degree against Mr. Penny after the jurors said they couldn't reach an agreement. And you had a lot of people questioning, wait a minute, the fact that they have dismissed this charge basically means he cannot really technically be guilty of the second charge, but they left it. And so they dismissed the first charge, leaving only the second charge. And that second charge was criminally negligent homicide. Okay. So of course there's video of the incident. It's appeared on social media. And of course, like everything else in the United States, there is a heavily split opinion on, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. This is very much like the kid up in Kenosha type of a situation. Some people praised Mr. Penny's decision to subdue a very erratic Mr. Neely, who had a history of crime and mental illness, while others accused him of vigilantism against an unarmed black man. Look, until I started hearing it everywhere, when I first heard of this, I didn't know this. It could have been two black men. It could have been two white men. And I think had it been two white men, or had it been two black men, we probably wouldn't be talking about this. But because it was a white man and a black man, we're talking about it. Mr. Penny insisted that he never intended to kill Mr. Neely, who he held in a chokehold for nearly 6 minutes on the floor of a subway train after it arrived at station. On Monday, following a trial which started in October, he was cleared of any criminal charges, the criminal charge being left criminally negligent homicide. As I stated, the judge already dismissed the more serious charge of manslaughter in the second degree against Mr. Penny after jurors said they could not reach an agreement. Mr. Penny, who did not give evidence during the trial, left the Manhattan courtroom without commenting to the media following the verdict. Prosecutors from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office did not dispute that the decedent, Mr. Neely, was loud, angry, threatening, and shouting that he was hungry, thirsty, and he wanted to be sent back to jail. He was making statements that he was going to do something to be sent back to jail. This was alarming the passengers, scaring people. However, they alleged Mr. Penny used deadly force without justification and for far too long than necessary by grabbing Mr. Neely from behind with an arm around his neck and bringing him to the floor. They also alleged that Mr. Penny, who served for 4 years in the Marines and went on to study architecture, was warned by people around him about the risk to Mr. Neely's life, and he intentionally ignored them. Mr. Penny's lawyers said that he was protecting himself and others from a volatile, mentally ill man who was making alarming remarks and gestures. They also claimed Mr. Penny was acting out of an alarm that Mr. Neely might hurt a woman and a child that he was approaching. Lawyer Stephen Razor said his client held Mr. Neely until he knew that he was no longer a threat, but did not apply pressure on his airway during the last crucial moments. Okay. A medical examiner ruled Mr. Neely's cause of death to be compression to the neck, though Mr. Penny's lawyers tried to claim that other causes such as drug use and sickle cell disease may have been a factor. Mr. Neely was a Michael Jackson impersonator who was well known in New York City. Mr. Neely was, excuse me. He had an extensive criminal record with previous arrests on charges such as evading fares, theft, assault on 3 women. Assaults on 3 women. That's interesting. Following the verdict, his family lawyer, Dante Mills, said Penny's acquittal showed the system could not be relied on. He said, everyone who's pissed off about this verdict, I challenge you to go outside today and help one person. That's how we beat the system. Now, look, I agree. That, I love it. Go out and help somebody. That's fantastic. That is a good message. I don't think that even has to have anything to do with this case. We should all be willing to help somebody. I think that's fantastic. Mr. Neely's father, Andre Zachary, said following the verdict, it really, really hurts. I had enough of this. The system is rigged. You know, look, I understand he's hurting. He's going to be hurting. You know, I don't know. We live in a really, we live in a really, Billy Jack. I've not heard about that in a long time. That's amazing, Billy Jack. I cannot believe you said Billy Jack. That is great. Oh God. Listen. A lot of people, and I've seen this on both the left and the right, and I hate even saying that. This is not a political issue, but amazingly, it's turned into a political issue because it's almost as if the split in this amazingly takes a political bent. The people who think that Mr. Penny should be jailed and imprisoned forever, I don't know, maybe killed because he stepped in, they believe that he was in the wrong, tend to be those who are on the left side of the spectrum, and those who believe, it's the same situation as if someone used a firearm in a situation which some might deem questionable or whatever. Do you have a right to protect yourself? Do you have a right to protect others? Whatever. Listen, here's the situation. He didn't shoot him. All right. He didn't stab him. He didn't hit him in the head with a club or a hammer. He didn't punch him and the guy fall back and hit his head and have a brain bleed. He used a chokehold, which the people who are trained to use chokeholds, I can't tell you how many individuals I've put in chokeholds. A lot. I've put a lot of people in chokeholds in my life, both prior to being in law enforcement. I took a martial arts for a number of years. And then while in law enforcement and maybe once or twice since being out of law enforcement, at least once that I know of. And none of the people that I put in a chokehold died. I've been put in chokeholds a number of times in trainings and various things. Matter of fact, in martial arts, when I was in martial arts, a number of times I was the volunteer who was put in the chokehold, and the karate, the taekwondo, or the judo instructor, whichever. I messed around in all three. I took a Japanese style of taekwondo is what I took. But I dabbled in various others, and I was the idiot that would volunteer for the instructor to put me to sleep. And so what we would do is we would sit there. I would sit on there, either on my butt or on my knees. The instructor would come up, put me in the hold. I'm sitting there watching. And then the next thing, no, I'm coming to, and I didn't even realize that I had been asleep. You know what I mean? And Joan Ashley, that's a very interesting point. So a couple things. Number one, handcuffs. Okay, these are real handcuffs. All right, handcuffs. They lock. They when you handcuff someone like this, and you lock it down. Okay, there's a itty bitty little hole, right? Okay, so your handcuff key hole to open the handcuffs are right here. That's the hole. But if you see this little piece right here where you can kind of see through it, that's called the double lock mechanism. And if you take the back of your handcuff key, it has a little pointy thing. And after you put the handcuffs on somebody, so, sir, you're under arrest, click, you're going to jail. All right, you handcuff this. You then take the back of your handcuff key right here, and here, and you click that, and it's called double locked. And when you double lock it, the handcuff, this one is double locked. You cannot get that to go in anymore. So when you first arrest somebody, you're supposed to arrest them and then put them on there. And then quickly you do a 2-finger check. You make sure you can get 2 fingers between their skin and the cuff. And when you can, then you double lock that so that won't get any tighter, because you're right. If you're handcuffed, this one is the one that can move. If you're handcuffed and say it's choked down, it's locked down that far, but I don't double cuff this, and if the person's moving around, it can continue ratcheting down to where it's very small. The hole's very small. So this is as big as it can be. That's on one click. And like, for example, if I put my dad in this, my dad had big arms. He had big wrists, big arms all the way up. I'd have to lock him like that. But if he was fighting around before it was double locked, it could latch down. And that's very much like a chokehold. If I have you in a chokehold and we're just laying there and you're just, I'm like, hey, chill out. We're not moving. That's all that's going to happen. If they're in the bedroom. If you are fighting around when you've got a chokehold on someone, that is going to continue to put pressure. And that's absolutely right. Tweety Bird is correct. Police officers do not have the mandate, the job of going out and hurting people. First and foremost, the biggest thing that you have to understand about law enforcement is people's like, well, can't they be trained to shoot them in the leg? Can't they shoot the gun out of their hand? Can't they shoot the knife blade off? As a police officer, you're not trained to shoot to kill. You are trained to stop the threat. Stop the threat. People that take defensive tactics and defensive tactics and martial arts and they are in it over a lifetime, someone who's in it for 40 years and has worked their way up and they're multiple degree black belts, and they know that they have the power and the ability to hurt somebody. They know that they have the ability to stop something, okay? They understand that if they're ever in that situation, they're not to just absolutely demolish someone. That what they are there to do is to stop the threat, to use one step up in the use of force continuum, you know. Now, what people don't understand is the first use of force continuum for a law enforcement officer is just the uniform. Okay. The next step is the voice command. Hey, police, stop. Okay. The last is deadly force. But you don't have to take stair steps. You don't have to go from the first step to the second step to the third step to be able to get from the first step to the last step. You can go from the very first level to deadly force in a second. You can also go from level 1 to level 3 and then back down to level 1 again and then up to deadly force, depending on what's going on. Now, it's called deadly force because it doesn't mean you're attempting to kill, but people are intelligent enough to know that if I shoot you with a handgun, that could result in deadly force. No one in law enforcement is trained to shoot at the head. You're trained to shoot at center mass. At center mass is where you're trained to shoot. So from shoulder on a human, you're talking about from shoulders to belly button, to your waistline, to your belts. If you look at that thing, and I look, yeah, your strike zone. Most people are aware of what you're doing. If you shoot, especially if you're shooting in the 10 ring center mass, I don't think people are confused about what that's going to do. It is what it is. The number one thing is this guy was not a law enforcement officer. He was just a civilian. So does a civilian have a right to use force or deadly force in a situation? Now, Tweety Bird said, and it's not just Tweety, and I'm not picking on Tweety Bird because she's just here, but there's lots of other people asking these other questions. So I'm not picking on her at all. She just said it here, and a lot of other people ask us, did this guy have a weapon? To my knowledge, no, he did not. But you don't have to have a weapon. All this guy did, all Mr. Penny did was hands-on. He just went hands-on. Okay, hands-on could be soft hands, like stop, slapping down, punching, pushing, creating distance or whatever. Or, strikes when you're actually, hitting the, like different pressure points and up to, elbow strikes, fist punch, face, doing things that can actually do some damage. And listen, to me, there's a lot of departments definitely after George Floyd that are talking about, doing things. They're looking at doing things with cutting off airway. Should we do this? Should we not do this? And there's a lot of discussion that's been going on about this. And I think that you're going to see a lot of departments have went away. They definitely went away. There's never a time that's okay to put your knee on someone's neck. They've done that. That was something that you would frequently see in law enforcement. from time to time. I don't know why. It's always been dumb. I mean, that's always been a stupid thing. You know, I think about how big I am. If I put my knee on your neck, I'm immediately going to assume I'm going to kill you. I mean, Jesus, you know. Citizens have the right to defend themselves against other citizens. And the thing here is, and the jury agrees, because this is no longer speculation. We're now talking about a case in which the jury heard this case. And listen, it's in New York, which is not normally favorable. I think it's interesting that all these people are coming out and being like, the system is rigged. But normally New York is not. New York is a liberal state with a liberal criminal justice system, with definitely a liberal prosecutor in this case. And district attorney, same thing. I don't think Penny did not leave the house that day saying, I'm going to kill Mr. Neely. He did not leave the house that day saying, I'm going to kill a person. I'm going to kill the next person I see. Or I'm going to kill the next black person I see. Or I'm going to kill the next person on the side. He did not. That was not in his head. He saw something going on and he took action. Can he say that he felt threatened, that he was threatened? It's his perception. I don't know. Would a smaller man feel threatened? Would a woman feel threatened? There were people on the train, on the subway that did feel threatened by Neely. That's very clear. I agree with you, Karen. I do not believe that death was intended here. And a couple of things. Maybe he thought at one point he put him to sleep. And sometimes those people, when they're put to sleep, will wake right up on their own. And sometimes they'll remain asleep until you do a sternum rub or, kind of smack them awake a little bit. So, I don't believe. And when they're saying, well, there were people around him that was yelling, there's a lot of information that's going on at that time. And there's a lot of heightened things. And when we're sitting here talking 6 minutes, if I sit here and count out 6 minutes, just with us staring at each other, not saying anything, it's 10:30. If I don't say anything for the next until 10:36, that would feel like a lifetime. But when you're fighting, when you're in the midst of craziness going on and you're scared for your life, that's going to go by like that. And you've got him screaming and you're saying, stop, 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 stop. And they're screaming. And someone's like, hey, you're going to kill him. You don't know. You can't hear. You don't know what's going on. Chris Bunner says, I think I heard he was breathing when he let him go. And I had heard that too. I heard that he was still, it wasn't like he rolled off and he was dead. I like what you say there, Tweety Bird, because the other thing is we're just speculating. We've heard what's been presented in the case, and you can all go and we can read that out and talk that over. But the jurors that found this man not guilty, they listened to everything, they saw everything, and they were able to, they had it all. So the fact that they voted in this way, I mean, I have to divert to them and give them the floor. And if they're saying he's not guilty, well, I've got to assume that they're right. However, one thing I believe he is for sure, he woke up with the intention of being a good person, maybe being a good person. Treebird says that's a normal day in New York. Was Penny from New York? I think he was. I mean, that's a sad, I get what you're saying, and I think craziness is, and, just bizarre shit can be a normal day in New York. I don't think that it's good. And if that's the case, if we're saying, well, it's a normal day in New York to just be fearful that you might not make it to your stop because a crazy person might be on the train and they might hurt you because they're hungry and they're saying they want to go back to jail. Listen, when I hear somebody say they want to go back to jail, to me, that's a scary statement. That's a really scary statement. Jeff says there's no criminal intent. That's important. I talked about this back during, I think, the situation with the Delphi deal. When you look at the different elements of the crime, and you're dealing with what's called mens rea, which is the mental act, and the actus rea, which is the physical act, and then the other part is the corpus delicti, which is the body of the crime. It doesn't necessarily mean the dead body, but it's the action. The corpus delicti of being a drug dealer would be having cocaine in your house, having baggies. When people find that, that's the overall body of the crime. You have ledgers stating that you sold to people. That shows the corpus delicti. And when you have to look at, did this person have criminal intent? Was the intent there? Did they, in a lot of cases, you'll hear in a lot of criminal statutes, you hear, did knowingly or intentionally. And yeah, yes, that's true, Stumblefoot. I always call it being a box, someone being a box and being warehoused away. Institutionalized syndrome is real. Yeah. Yeah, I think not guilty is the right answer. I absolutely believe that to be true. Before we move on here to the last story that we're going to cover tonight, I do want to look this up just for 1 second here. Give me 1 second. What was the jury makeup in this case? What was the makeup? That's what I'm looking for now. I have not heard. I'm trying to find here. Let's see. The jury, made up of 5 men and 7 women, deliberated. Deliberation and closing arguments began last week. Okay, so you've got 5 men and 7 women. I think that's interesting, because I think that the women are going to understand being fearful. What was the... Let's see here. Questions the jury asked before acquitting Daniel Penny in the subway chokehold case. Let me read this here and see. I don't know what the nationality or background of the other than being 5 men and 7 women. Let's see here. Defense told the jurors that Penny act saved subway passengers from a violent and desperate Neely who was acting erratically, and that Penny continued to hold on because he feared Neely would break free, though he did not intend to kill Neely. The jury deliberated for more than 24 hours total across 5 days before acquitting Penny of criminally negligent homicide on Monday. They were previously deadlocked on the more serious charge of second-degree manslaughter, which Judge Maxwell Wiley dismissed on Friday at the request of the prosecutors. And Penny obviously pled not guilty to both charges. The jurors submitted several questions to the court during the course of their deliberations, giving some insight to their thinking. A little more than an hour after beginning deliberations, the jury on Tuesday asked for a readback of a portion of the judge's instructions on the law. This is very interesting. A lot of times these cases boil down to simply the judge's reading of the law. That's why it's very important that a judge be very meek and mild with the way that they read those, and to not put inflections and things, and not to show bias in how he or she would read the law, because you don't want to implant that bias into the jury's mind by how your inflection, the way that I read something can let you know how I feel about something. So I'm always mindful of that anytime I've ever been in court and watched this. The jury was interested in the part about justified use of force. So that's interesting. Day 2, the jury asked to see key videos shown during the trial. They asked to see the police body camera footage, Penny's interrogation video, and a bystander's video on Wednesday. Later that day, the jury asked for a readback of testimony. The jury wanted to hear part of the cross-examination of the city medical examiner who concluded Penny's chokehold killed Neely. Dr. Cynthia Harris, who was the final witness for the prosecution during the trial, determined that Neely died from compression to the neck. During an intense cross-examination, Harris had pushed back against the defense suggestion that the public sentiment surrounding the trial influenced her conclusion that there were no alternative reasonable explanations for Neely's death other than Penny's chokehold. No toxicological results imaginable was going to change my opinion, she testified. Day 3, the jury heard more testimony read back from the cross-examination of the medical examiner. The jury subsequently requested to see 2 bystander videos capturing the moments when Penny placed Neely in a chokehold. The jury had already requested one of the 2 bystander videos the previous day. Wiley allowed the jury to access a laptop with videos so they could watch the requested videos as many times as they would like. Later that day, the jury requested the definitions of criminal negligence and recklessness. We, the jury, request that Judge Wiley read the definition of recklessness and negligence back. Please read it more than once, the note read. Could the jury have the definitions in writing? The jury was considering 2 counts. Second-degree manslaughter, which carries a maximum 15-year sentence, and 15 years they wanted to give this guy. That's nuts. And criminally negligent homicide, which has a 4-year maximum. To convict Penny of manslaughter, the jury must be convicted that Penny acted recklessly and grossly deviated from how a reasonable person would behave knowing the risk his conduct posed. See, in New York right there, I think that's very interesting. To convict Penny of manslaughter, the jury must be convinced that Penny acted recklessly and grossly deviated from how a reasonable person would behave knowing the risk of his or her conduct posed. And I think that's the situation where any one person, where Tweety Bird, or and I'm not picking on you, I'm just saying you're the devil's advocate. You're my foe a lot of the times. Thanks for playing along. Let's not you. While my mother might not act in that way, my mother might say no. I wouldn't get involved. I would get away from there. I would whatever. I'm here to tell you that I'm somebody that intervenes in situations. I try to do as much de-escalation as possible. I don't know how much or how little de-escalation this man did, but I think about stuff like this because I very seriously could find myself in a situation like this, not because I ever want to hurt someone. That's the last thing from my mind. But I also am in a situation where I have been trained to interject to stop someone from hurting myself or others. And I would do what I needed to do to protect someone and stop someone from being hurt. So it's very interesting. You have to look at what the reasonable person would do. I understand that not every person is like me. Maybe I'm an unreasonable person, or maybe I'm not a normal person, just any normal person on the road. But I know a lot of my people that I know that weren't law enforcement officers would interject themselves. So, if I'm the jury reading this, if I'm a juror, I'm thinking, well, yeah, I know a lot of people that would stop in to try to make things better, to try to stop the situation from getting worse. Day 4, the jury told the judge on Friday they were unable to come to a unanimous vote on whether Penny committed manslaughter. We, the jury, request instructions from Judge Wiley at this time. We were unable to come to a unanimous vote on count 1, the note said. The verdict form asked the jury to decide the first count, second-degree manslaughter, before potentially moving on to the second count of criminally negligent homicide. Only if they found Penny not guilty on the first count could they consider that second count. About 20 minutes after the judge encouraged them to continue deliberating despite their deadlock, the jury sent back another note requesting more information about the term reasonable person. That's interesting because that's what I was just talking about. Here's what the judge told them, and this is where it's going to come down every time. Ultimately, what a reasonable person is up to you to decide. Wiley told the jury in the response in their note, referring them to a 2-part test in the jury instructions. Would a reasonable person have the same honestly would a reasonable person have had the same honestly held belief as the defendant, given the circumstances and what the defendant knew at the time? Wiley asked, referring to the second part of the test. Several hours later, Wiley dismissed the top charge of second-degree manslaughter at the request of the prosecutors. That, to me, was such a shitty move. That is when they should have known our goose is cooked. Because what they were attempting to do at that point, because what the law stated is they could only look at the second charge if they found him not guilty of the first. So they could not consider the second charge until he was found not guilty of the first charge. So they said, well, rather than lose it all, we'll get rid of the first charge and hope that you can, go on and find him guilty of the second charge, is what the prosecutors wanted. The judge encouraged the jury to continue their deliberating on Monday, the lesser charge whether Penny committed criminally negligent homicide. Day 5, the jury announced Monday morning that they had reached a unanimous decision on count 2, finding Penny not guilty of criminally negligent homicide. The courtroom broke out in a mix of cheers, clapping, and jeers as soon as the verdict was read. And Neely's father cursed in anger shortly after the verdict was forcibly removed from the courtroom by a court officer. Others in the gallery shouted, and one woman broke down in tears. Penny, walking out of the courtroom, flashed a brief smile before returning to his stone-faced demeanor. His lawyers embraced one another while seated at the counsel table. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, whose office prosecuted the case, thanked the jury and vowed to respect their verdict. What the hell? The jury has spoken now. Good thing he did that. Like, you don't have a choice, bro. That's scary, because it's like, what did he, in his back of his mind, he's like, well, wait a minute. We dismissed this other charge. We could go in and charge him of that other one because we dismissed it. So they didn't, we'll respect your decision. Well, thank you. Thank you for following the Constitution, Bragg. At the Manhattan DA's office, we deeply respect the jury process and we respect their verdict, he said in a statement. That's bizarre. So that's that case. Listen, I think they got it right. I think they absolutely got it right. Let's see here. Let's see what... Penny was trained as a Marine to protect. That's obviously in there. Absolutely. A reasonable person, noun, a fictional person with an ordinary degree of reason, prudence, care, foresight, or intelligence, whose conduct, conclusion, or expectation in relation to a particular circumstance or fact is used as an objective standard by which to measure or determine something as the existence of negligence. Reasonable okay, that's the same situation. Yeah, absolutely. Very, 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 very strange. I'm glad that it went this way. I'm glad that so far we haven't heard of any kind of negative protesting or anything breaking out. And I'm glad about that. And I'm really glad that the judge, or not the judge, but the lawyer for the family of the deceased person told people, instead of telling them to go out and protest or do anything, he said, go out and do something good. That's good. I'm glad that he said something like that. So that's that. Okay. Before we wrap this up, I do want to talk just a moment about the other big case, which should also be just as interesting for individuals. And this is the arrest made in the CEO killing. Obviously, we're talking about the United Healthcare CEO that was gunned down last, was it Tuesday? Wednesday the 4th? Give me a second here. I think we've got some of the gremlins are back. And I'm trying to get out of the gremlins. Okay. So obviously, as we've all been aware, over the last several days, New York City police officers have been looking for a person of interest in the killing of the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. And there's been lots and lots and lots and lots of conversation about this. Of course, this has also became a very political statement. People talking about, the suspect as some kind of Robin Hood character. And I just, I've had some personal conversations with people that have told me that this guy is like, to them is like this is like an interesting story that, I like, listen, I follow the news and I love things that are interesting. I hate that this is happening. I wish this wouldn't have happened. And I understand that there are a lot of people that have a lot of problems with the healthcare situation in America and insurance and all of that. And I understand that there's room for discussion, but you cannot kill someone because of policy difference. That's the same thing as what happened to Trump on July 13th. And then a couple months later in Florida, the attempted assassination. That shit, it cannot stand, man. And this thing that happened to this guy is not okay. Now, there were a lot of people that were saying, well, wait a minute, what if this has got nothing to do with the healthcare situation? He was separated from his wife, and what if one or the other was trying to move on and that led to hurt feelings? Or what if this is something else? There were even people talking about the fact that Brian Thompson was under investigation by the feds for a couple different things, and that there have been situations. There was a famous bodyguard who said that he has heard of a couple different situations where CEOs have been facing something horrible, and they have actually hired their own hitman to take them out at some unknown time, so they didn't have to face what was coming, and so that their family could take the life insurance and all of that. And I thought that was kind of interesting because I didn't think that's what was going on in this case. I also, just from the get-go, thought, this is going to have something to do with the whole insurance thing. I think it's interesting now that they've named this person of interest and we're starting to learn more about him. What I think is very interesting, and I think everybody needs to think about, is when did they announce that this guy was arrested? 4:30, 5 o'clock today? 5:30. So let's say sometime between 3 and 6. So what that means is, let's say it was as early as possible. Let's say 3 o'clock. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's 5 minutes till 11 right now. That's 8 hours. And I know it wasn't at 3 o'clock, so it's less than 8 hours. 6 to 7 hours. This person of interest has been known about just in this short amount of time. And we already have so much freaking information about this guy. Even before he was known, we had a lot of information and so much to go off of. But yet, here we are. August, September, October, November, December. So from July 13th, August, September, October, November, December, 5 months out from the assassination attempt of Donald Trump. And we know less about that dude than we know about Luigi. That should really make people wonder what in the actual hell is going on in the world right now. That's really insane. Tweetybird says, I wonder what actions cause themselves to be fearful. I would assume that you're asking about the CEOs that try to have themselves killed. I don't know. It could be anything from someone losing a company. It could have something to do with embezzlement or someone's, cheating on their wife or something crazy is going to destroy their whole family. It could be sickness. You all know about that. The lawyer who was the OxyContin addict down in wherever where the kid killed the girl on the boat, and he killed the other kid, and he hired someone to kill him because he knew that the shit was hitting the fan and that he was going to get found out. So he actually hired that guy to shoot him, and it missed, or something went sideways. I don't know what all happened with that. I didn't follow that case too much, but you know what I'm talking about. It happened a while ago. The guy's an attorney, and he was doing like 90 OxyContins a day or whatever. Just because he had a silencer and a ghost with multiple IDs eating. I don't know what you're talking about there, because I'm not talking specifically about healthcare people. I'm just talking about CEOs in general. There's been people like that, and I didn't say it. I saw it on a news story where a bodyguard was talking about it. So it could just be anyone in the corporate world, or high important attorneys or whatever, So a couple things about this deal, which is interesting, was, yes, he was found in a McDonald's. This definitely is like the poster child for, if you see something, say something. Very interesting situation. The kid was found in Pennsylvania, in a small community in Pennsylvania. The police officer that found him had only been on the department for like 6 months. And it's like, dude, this is going to be the biggest case of your life, probably. Luigi Mangione, 26 years old, being questioned in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Listen, when I first saw this kid, when I saw the picture of him with his mask on, with just his eyes, I was talking to Kate about this the other night, and I was like, this kid looks like he looks just like dark and mysterious. Like he looks petite. He didn't look like an American to me. He looked like he was going to be someone from like the Middle East, or he was going to be like European. How I told Kate, like, sometimes you'll see some French people who are very kind of dark complected and dark hair, dark eyes, or Italian. I just immediately thought that this kid was of some kind of descent, of which he was going to be dark complected. Now, what's interesting to me here is GW is now saying the eyebrows don't match up, and there's this there's this big push right now that this is a conspiracy and this isn't him. I don't know. I'll tell you, the moment that I saw the guy, let me pull up here and get a picture of him with the mask on to where we can see this and look at this. Because I actually heard someone say, one of the news people say, he's got a big nose. Someone actually said, like, it looks like he might even be wearing a fake nose. And I was like, no, he's just got a big nose. And that's one of the first things I noticed about this kid. Man, I'm going to have to look at the eyebrows and see what you're saying about that, because I think this kid is him. I think it's him. I think he's, I don't know. I mean, obviously he's got some kind of Italian or Sicilian background. Like, I would assume he's an American, but listen to his name. Obviously he's Italian or Sicilian or something like that. Let me get this picture pulled up here. Okay, here's the picture. Blow up. Stand by. I'm off screen if anyone's commenting at the moment. Okay, yeah, right here. Ow. Okay. There's add page. Okay. So there's the picture before we knew who he was. This is from him at the hostel. Let me blow this up here. Okay. Okay, and here is his weird ass. I guess this guy's obsessed with McDonald's, because he took a picture of himself with like a Lion King McDonald's Happy Meal. Okay. Share this tab instead. All right, here we go. Now, everybody's talking about this gun being a ghost gun. I don't think that's true. I think it's going to be the B&T Station 6 9mm. I think so. I'm hearing everybody talking about this gun's a ghost gun. It's a ghost gun. I was also talking to Kate about this the other night. Okay, so here's the kid. Here's the kid that's flirting with the girl at the hostel. She told him to take his mask down. And it's like, even when you're an assassin getting ready to do some kind of crazy killing, you're still going to let a woman blow your shit. So, oh my God. So you're saying this isn't the killer? You're saying this person isn't the killer. Why, and what makes you say that? Why are you saying that this is not the killer? What evidence do we have? I mean, where are people saying that? Are we saying that this is not the person who shot? Is that what your claim is? Because I look at that nose right there and that smile. I think it's the same nose. So this person in this picture right here, I think is almost definitely this person right here. But you're saying that that person there is not this person. Right? Is that what you're saying? Wait a minute. So, okay, so I just for the sake of argument, just to make sure that I understand what you're saying, I guess rather, you're saying that this guy and this guy, this person here is this person, but that this person here that's the same person, because this picture here is the same person that this person is. This guy right here is this guy. But you're saying that this guy here, your claim is it's not this guy. And so my question is, what's the claim that you're saying that that's not him? Why are we saying that he didn't get caught at McDonald's? Why are we saying that? Just because everything else, first of all, everyone's going around saying that this was a contract killing and he was badass. I don't believe that also. I don't believe that also. I don't think he was good with the shooting. I don't think that the shooting was the act of a hitman or someone who is overly trained with weapons, because like I would say I have a lot of training with guns. I'm still not an assassin, obviously. Okay? I've never killed anybody. I fully believe that I could if I needed to, and I would have I don't want to, but I would. And I would if put in, I'll say this, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe it would screw me up. But if I'm put in a situation in which I needed to protect my life or family member's life or the life of a person on the street, I think that I could do what I needed to do and would know that I did everything that I could to have done something else. But if put in a position, I would do what I needed to do. That being said, maybe that's all bullshit that I'm saying now. And even though I have a massive experience with guns and I shoot a lot and I have quite a gun collection, that when the time came, maybe I would shit my pants. But I'm telling you that this guy that killed this CEO was not some expert marksman. He was not some expert marksman. If he was a hitman, he's not going to let that guy get that much distance between him. The guy did not know he was there. The guy passed him. He's going to be right up on him. He's going to put one or two in the back of his skull and get right away. He's not going to take time to write on bullets and leave bullets at the scene, eject bullets out. That's insane. The way that he maneuvered the gun, one of two things, okay? So, one of two things. If the gun, now you guys are saying, and I didn't hear before going live tonight that they're saying that it's a ghost gun. Going into this, before any talk of the gun had happened, I thought that he was shooting like a Glock style gun with a suppressor on it, and that the reason he was having trouble was that he did not have the right equipment on the suppressor that would cause the slide to go back with as much force as it needed to. And so because of that, or he was limp wristing it, which would cause the gun to stovepipe, and he was trying to clear the chamber. And every time he did it in a way that he acted like he was doing the quote unquote tap, rack, bang maneuver that people are taught, but he acted like he was afraid of it. You know, if I'm doing if I'm having a problem, if I'm shooting you and I have a problem, I've shot enough guns and I've been in situations where, you know, if you have the problem, you keep the gun trained on your person and do the tap, rack, bang, and you're ready to start firing again. You don't point it down to the ground and kind of get scared of it. Okay. Then they come out and they say, no. It wasn't like a semi-automatic. It was this B&T Station 6.9, which is a bolt action. Okay. Well, now that makes all the sense in the world why he was doing the hand maneuvers that he was doing. He wasn't doing tap, rack, bang. He was shooting the gun and working the bolt. Shoot the gun, work the bolt. Shoot the gun, work the bolt. That was my theory as of last night. Now, you guys, I'll have to go read this. You guys are saying that this is a ghost gun that he had. And if that's the case, it could still be bolt action, I guess. But that I'll have to go see what the difference is. Because the gun that they actually said that as of yesterday, that they were saying this was, because yesterday, see, that's the thing. Yesterday, they were saying that he bought a gun in Connecticut. Well, you don't buy a ghost gun in Connecticut. You print a ghost gun. So that's strange. Now, GW says, if you just did this, would you be at McDonald's? I don't know. Just because you kill someone, does that mean you're not hungry? What? You know, like, shit, you got to eat. I mean, you know, like, you know what I mean? He was, even McSassins get McHungry and McLovin it sometimes, I imagine. I don't know. Tweety Bird, or not Tweety Bird. Karen says, looks like an FBI operation to me. That's the other thing is everybody's so quick to go MK Ultra, the CIA did this. I don't know. He got off a bus. The bus stop was at McDonald's or something. That could be. I mean, that could be. Oh God, a psyop. So what was the psyop to do? I mean, I'm waiting for all the people that are saying that it's psyop is supposed to be like causing them to take the guns away or whatever. I don't think we're in a position right now in the government where that's going to happen because of what happened during the election. I think that's interesting. So here's what I would like. Are you watching something? If you're watching something that is pointing you in that direction, like if you're watching some other program, whatever, I would love for you to send me those programs. I love that. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I love conspiracy theories, and I can be a conspiracy theorist nut just like with the best of them. I love it. I just don't see this as being that. I see this being a kid who's going to be pissed off that his mom or his dad died of cancer and they couldn't get insurance to cover. Listen, when my dad was sick, let me tell you a gross story. The day before I found my dad dead, the day before my dad passed, I had went to the pharmacy and picked up his medication, a cancer medication. I picked up a bottle and it had a 90-day supply in it, in that bottle. Okay. And I picked that up. And I was going to take it to his house the next day. I take it to his house and he's deceased. The bottle was never opened. I never opened it. And inside this bottle contained 90 pills. Not 90 pills, enough pills for 90 days. Excuse me. Inside the bottle contained enough pills for 90 days. That's 3 months. Dad was to take that pill 3 times a day. So every day he would take three pills. All right. So that is 3 times 90. That's 270 pills.
You got enough fingers and toes there, Christopher, to get that one out.
You're right. 270.
Okay.
Each pill was $835. $835. $835 times 270. Holy shit. I've not done that math in a long time. That's $225,000. That's pretty insane. Now, my dad had insurance. I don't even understand. I don't think, I mean, he had good insurance, but I thought we didn't pay for that. I don't know what the deal was. But I called his when I found out about that he was gone, I called his doctor and I was like, "Hey, I got these pills. I need to bring them to you so someone else can get them." And he said, "Open the lid and mix it in with coffee grounds and destroy the pills. We won't be able to use them." And I was like, "What? There is no way in hell I would do that." I took a pair of mustache scissors, like these right here. Hell, these might have been them. Like these here. And I scratched his name and some of the pharmacy stuff off, but I left the name of the pill on, and I took those and I dropped those off outside the little red door. Now, hey, maybe they destroyed them. I don't know. But I sure as hell was not going to destroy $225,000 worth of pills. That's insane. So, could there be people out there? Are there people out there? Are there people right now? Absolutely. Absolutely. Cussing this same company, cussing other companies? Sure. Insurance is a mother, you know what I mean? I get it. But I think that this guy's going to come down to a sad sack story. He's going to have some death. They're already talking about things that he said, whatever. But if you guys are out there seeing places where they're talking about the psyop angle or the conspiracy theory angle, send this shit to me. Send it to me. GW says United Healthcare did me dirt. Hey, look, I get it. I understand. I definitely understand it. I get it. Absolutely. It's insane. It's insane that it's like that, you know. What someone said refused to reimburse me. That doesn't surprise me. What comments, Tweety Bird? What comments are you talking about? Which comments? I got this one. Last thing you said was he got off a bus. The bus stop was at McDonald's or near it. And then the next thing I got was, why didn't my comments show up? It is a ghost gun. You said that. I don't know what other comments you said. I would be interested to know what you were. We didn't delete anything. Sometimes Facebook does weird shit. But I don't know. I think that this is going to be a weird story. There's still so much. Yeah, hell, yeah, right. That's absolutely. I would never have done that. My stepdad's a pharmacist, man. That's ignorant. I would never do something like that. But yeah, me too. Right down the gullet. Oop. No, you keep that shit around in a lockbox because you never know when you're going to have a kidney stone. That is the God's honest story. Anytime.
I have kids in the house.
Well, I understand that, but
so if they don't get used, they
Yeah.
get thrown away. They get destroyed. Sorry.
Right. How do you destroy it?
I have taken them to people to have them destroyed, like the police
Okay,
department
yeah,
will
you can
destroy
take
them
it,
for you.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you go to the pharmacy, they'll give you like a little envelope
Mhm.
that you put in, and it basically concretes them.
Yeah, you can do that. You could take them to the police department, and they'll take it like the pill buyback thing, or or not buyback, but the pill turn-in thing. You can do that, or the coffee grounds. That's what he was telling me. Which I was like, yeah, I'm aware, but you can put them in with old coffee grounds. You can always put them in water and dissolve them. Whatever, but.
Yeah, but I don't want to put that into the wastewater system.
I wouldn't flush it or whatever. I would flush it and then throw it out in the yard. I mean, put it in
plant to see what it does.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. See if you turn your.
I get rid of those.
Yeah, well, I can understand that. Yeah, I don't ever. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes censor bots can get you. How can you tell? And you tell us you can't delete your comment. That's how you know YouTube got you. Yeah. I apologize for that, Tweety Bird. We are never going to delete comments around here. So I'm going to keep following this. Obviously, there's going to be a big story. My whole thing is where I'm coming from currently is what's interesting to me is PSYOP, real deal, whatever the situation is. We know far more about this kid than we do even about that jerk off from, weird. It was Pennsylvania too. Ooh, spooky. I do want to ask real quick before we go. We're getting ready to go. I said, GW said, what's going on federally? What did you mean about this? What do you mean what's going on federally? Federally, like it's kind of like the highwaymen are riding back into town and gonna clean up this mess. I don't know if you meant something else other than that or what you meant exactly, but that's that's what I said. I don't know if there's something else. What are they trying to distract us from? Well, yeah, all right, I get. I mean, a good time. It sounds like. We are speaking of the devil. We are 42 days away from that. All right. I think Catherine will be on tomorrow. I'll find out. I'll let you know. I don't know. Hopefully we'll have some stuff from Muncie to talk about. I'm waiting on some stuff. And I saw Alva's comment earlier about 22 days for James King. I think that once Brand gets in, I might have a little bit better luck getting the King files. So 22 days, maybe we'll have to wait those 23 days. We'll find out what goes on. But we'll be back here at the exact same time, but 10 minutes early, God willing, tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern. So get ready and set your clocks. We will be here, I promise. Devil is right. Hit the like on your way out. Don't make me come find you. And we'll go from there. You guys have a good evening. Take care. Have a great Tuesday, and we'll see you tomorrow. God bless. Good night. Goodbye.